everyone, it's Jordan, and today I'll be talking about my favorite books of 2020. Although this year has been crazy, but I've read a lot of good books this year, and it was really hard for me to narrow it down, but I definitely am excited to talk about my favorite books of the year, so let's talk about my favorite books of the year. Coming up at number 10 of my favorite books of the year is All Your Twisted Secrets by Diana Urban. This is about 6 teenagers who were invited to a special dinner event, but there is a twist to it. There was a bomb, and they had to decide who gets killed, or they all die. And I love this book so much. I honestly love the cast of characters and their backgrounds and all that, and that plot twist really surprised me, and I've read a lot of mystery books this year, but I feel like this just has been my favorite that I've read this year, and I like how it's like The Breakfast Club, but with a mystery twist to it, and I just really love this book, and it's definitely, I definitely want to read more of Diana Urban's books, because I think this is her debut novel, I think. Well, let me see, I think this is her debut novel, but I'm not sure, but I definitely really want to read more of her books because I really liked how she created the characters and all that. This is just one of my favorite books of the year so far that's a mystery. Coming up at number 9 of my books of the year is Story Thieves by James Riley. This is about a boy who has a classmate who was able to jump in and out of books, and then he went into one of his favorite books and then accidentally changed to singing his favorite book, and then the whole story goes from there, and I love this book so much. And surprisingly, I have another middle grade book that is on my favorites list, but this is definitely one of the ones that caught my eye because of the title, and also there's the cover is very beautiful. I love the characters, and boy, this book is so good, and I love the characters, and I love the world, and I can't wait to read more books in the series just because I'm really curious on what happens in the next books. And I definitely, if you're looking for a book that is a book within a book, I definitely recommend Story Thieves because it's so good, and of course it's a really awesome middle grade that I've read this year. Coming at number 9 on my favorite books of the year is The School of Good and Evil by Saman Chinani. This is about 2 girls who are best friends. One is good and one's evil, and they go to this school, but they both of end up switching places. The good goes into the school of bad and vice versa, and I love this book so much. I really love how this is like a fairy tale descendants going to the school about how to become a hero, and then the other one teaches you how to be evil, and I love the friendship of these 2 main characters, Agatha and Sophie. I love them so much, and I love the characters, and I just really love this book so much. I really want to read more books in the series just because I want to know what happens, especially the ending. I'm like, what? Yeah, I definitely want to read more books in this series, and I love the characters, and I love the world, and I just can't wait to read more books in the series. Coming in at number 7 on my favorite books of the year is Letters to the Lost by Bridget Kemmerer, who's the author of A Curse So Dark and Lonely series, and this is one of her contemporary books, and it's about a girl who writes letters to her mom who passed away, and then one of the letters end up being replied to her, and the whole story goes from there. I really enjoy this book, even though with the pandemic, this book deals with grief a lot, and I know it's something that not a lot of people would want to read this year, but for me, when I've read it, I'm like, I can relate to that because I've lost a family member, and I just like reading about characters grieving about a lost family member, and this almost made me cry just because of what happened to the main character's relative and how they're dealing with that, and of course, like I said, I've been kind of in the same shoes as the characters because I lost family members, like especially one this year, but this is definitely one of the books that I've read this back in April, so but it's just I just love the characters, and I love the story, and this book almost made me very emotional just because it's something that everybody, I don't know, I really love this book, and I definitely want to read more of her contemporary books that she has, and I know she has A Curse So Dark and Lonely series, and I really want to continue, but yeah, I'm just so happy that this book has been sitting on my shelves for a very long time, and I'm just glad that I picked it up when I did, and yeah, I definitely want to read more contemporary books by her. Coming in at number 6 on my favorite books of the year is Spin the Dawn by Elizabeth Lim. This is a story about a girl who takes her father's placed into a contest on being the best tailor in the kingdom, and then she has to find elements to create an outfit for the emperor. And this is a Mulan retelling, and I love this book so much. I love the characters, and I also love the world, and I really want to read the sequel so badly. And of course, I honestly just been loving a lot of retellings this year, and I've just been wanting, I really want to read more. I know that Elizabeth Lim has another book coming out next year, and I know I want to read a sequel to this, and it's a duology. So yeah, I'm just so happy that I picked this up, and I love this book so much. I love the characters, and I love the world, like I said, and I'm just glad, and it just became my favorite of the year. Now, coming in number 5 of my favorite books of the year is Hunting Prince Dracula by Karen Maniscalco, which is the sequel to Stalking Jack the Ripper, and I love the series so much. I know I need to read the other two books, and sadly, I haven't been reading a lot of sequels this year, and that's what I'm gonna put as top priority for next year. And I love the series so much. If you haven't read the first book's about a girl who's been studying, I don't even know what the term is, the person that studies dead bodies, and then there was a murder that happened, and she wants to find out who killed the victims. That's what the whole premise of the series is about. And of course, they went to Romania in this one, and they meet Dracula. So I never read I did not read Dracula, like the classic book, but I am familiar with the Dracula story. But I definitely really enjoyed this, and I still love the characters of the series. I love Audrey Rose, and I love Thomas, and I'm just like, can't wait to read more books in the series because I just love the characters so much, and I love the story, and I really like the premise of the book series, and I just can't wait to read more of the series. Coming at number 4 on my favorite books of the year list is Tweet Cute by Emma Lord. I don't own this book yet, but I've read this on audiobook, and I literally recommend the audiobook just because, like, I don't know why, I hardly listen to contemporaries on audiobook, but I have been doing that this year. But this book is about two characters. One owns a grilled cheese restaurant. I can't remember, and the other one is the other character's family owns the deli, and they're trying to steal the recipe. And this is kind of like a Romeo and Juliet situation because, like, they're at war, but the two main characters are like formed a friendship through Twitter, and of course they formed a relationship. And I love this book so much. The character, it's so cute, and I just cannot stop laughing as I was listening to it, and I'm just like, I definitely want to read more books by Emma Lord because the story, and I want to read more, and of course she has one coming out next year, and it really grabbed my interest, and I'm just really excited. I just love Tweet Cute. I haven't been reading a lot of contemporary this year, but I know this one has been one of my favorites this year. Coming in number 3 on my favorite books of the year is Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and another book that I don't own yet, but I listened to the audiobook, and oh my gosh, I could not stop listening to the audiobook. I love the book so much. If you haven't read the book, it takes place back in the 70s. It's told by the band called Daisy Jones and the Six, and they explain like why they broken up. And then there's a full cast audiobook, which I love, and I definitely recommend to people to read the audiobook because when I listened to it, it literally sounded like a radio show or a podcast, and I just love that, and I couldn't stop listening to it. And I don't remember how long it took me. I think it took me a few days, but I still love the book so much, and I definitely want to read more books by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I know I have one on my TBR that I haven't read yet, The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and I still haven't read that yet, but I know that's another book that's been hyped on BookTube, and I definitely want to read that. And I'm just really excited to try out more adult historical fiction because I hardly read historical fiction in general, but this one has been one of the best ones that I've read so far throughout the whole year. Coming in number 2 of my favorite books of the year is All the Stars and Teeth by Adeline Grace. This is about a princess who has magical powers, but then she has been approved to be a good ruler and not able to take over a throne, but then she meets this pirate, and the whole story goes from there. I love this book so much. This was the group book for Fairy Tale-a-thon. Round, oh gosh, what round was it? 4? Yeah, it was 4. Yeah, I'm definitely I'm glad that we picked this book. This book wasn't a fairy tale retelling per se, but it had a lot of elements that reminds us of different fairy tales, and I definitely can't wait to read the sequel. And I found out that it's a duology too, and I'm so sad that there's not going to be any more books, but I'm really excited to pick up the sequel because I really enjoyed this one so much. And yeah, I'm just this is one of my favorite fantasy books that I've read this year, especially when this book, like I said, this book has a lot of fairy tale elements to it. And now, number one book that of my favorite books this year is Serpent and Dove by Shelby Mahern. If you haven't read Serpent and Dove tells a story about a witch and a witch hunter get married through an arranged marriage, but the witch hunter does not know that she's a witch. And I love this book so much, even though, like, I've read this back in January, I think, and of course I was in a reading slump at the time, but I still took my time with this book, and I love this book so much, and I'm just really happy that I picked this up. And I know there's some people that don't like it, but I'm one of the ones that do like it, and I can't wait to read the sequel when I can. And I know the third book is coming out next year, which I'm really excited about, and I know I need to push myself to read the sequel to Serpent and Dove, and oh my gosh, I just love this book so much, and I just it is my favorite book of the year. So that's all of my favorite books this year, but I have some honorable mentions because I've read so many good books this year. Kingdom of Souls by Rena Barron, Star Daughter by Shavita Carrara, City of Ghosts by Victoria Schwab, Prince Charming by Rachel Hawkins, Love and Gelato by Jenna Evans Welch, And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie, Death by Coffee by Alex Erickson, and the book that I just finished today that I'm filming this is Horrid by Katrina Leno, Books of the Year. And if you haven't already, click the subscribe button and click the bell icon so you'll be notified whenever I post new videos. Also, you can follow me on social media like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Goodreads, which all links will be down below for you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!